Hello everybody and welcome to our first video learning Spanish from zero. My name is Domingo and in today's lesson we are going to learn introductions in Spanish. Hola a todos y bienvenidos a nuestro primer video aprendiendo español desde cero. Mi nombre es Domingo y en la lección de hoy vamos a aprender las presentaciones en español. At the end of this video, you will be able to do the following. Introduce yourself. Introduce someone else. Ask and answer personal information. Understand why the subject pronoun in Spanish sentences is often omitted. Al final de este video, usted será capaz de hacer lo siguiente. Presentarse, presentar a alguien más, preguntar y responder informaciones personales, entender el por qué el pronombre en las oraciones en español es a menudo omitido. Now, listen carefully to the way Paola introduces herself in English. Ahora, escucha cuidadosamente de la manera en que Paola se presenta a sí misma en inglés. Let's listen to it. Escuchemos. Hi, I'm Paola. I'm from Cuba, but I live in Canada now. I'm 29 years old and I'm a Spanish teacher. I like to read, ride a bike, and play with my dogs. I don't like to get up early and go shopping. It's nice to meet you. Now, we're going to listen to the same conversation, but in Spanish. Ahora vamos a escuchar la misma conversación, pero en español. Let's listen to it. Escuchémosla. Hola, me llamo Paola. Soy de Cuba, pero ahora vivo en Canadá. Tengo 29 años y soy profesora de español. Me gusta leer, montar en bicicleta y jugar con mis perros. No me gusta madrugar ni ir de compras. Es un placer conocerte. If you notice, guys, when she says, me llamo, soy, vivo, tengo, me gusta, no me gusta, if you pay attention closely to those verbs, you will notice that they lack of subject pronoun. In Spanish, it is not necessary to use the subject pronoun before verbs. Why? Because it is understood. So my advice for you is that from today's lesson on, that you understand this. Why? Because it is understood who is the person talking in the conversation. That's why most of the time the subject pronoun is omitted in Spanish. However, it is okay to use it, but it is not common to listen to people using those subject pronouns at the beginning and then the verb. For example, if I were going to say the same conversation using the subject pronoun, I would say it in this way. Let's listen to it. Hola, yo me llamo Paola. So, yo me llamo Paola. Yo soy de Cuba, pero ahora yo vivo en Canadá. Yo tengo 29 años y yo soy profesora de español. Me gusta leer, o se puede decir también a mí me gusta leer, montar en bicicleta y jugar con mis perros. A mí no me gusta madrugar ni ir de compras. You know, you will hear people maybe talking in that way, but it's not common to listen to this kind of conversation using the subject pronoun. So if you want to sound more like a Spanish native speaker, it's a good idea to avoid using subject pronouns before verbs. In this occasion, we're gonna listen to a second conversation, but using a man. En este caso, vamos a usar una segunda conversación, pero usando un hombre. Let's listen to him. Vamos a escucharlo. Good morning. My name is Mario. I'm from La Habana, Cuba, but I live in Miami in the United States. I'm 36 years old and I'm a journalist. I like traveling, listening to music, and going out with my friends. I don't like to play tennis and do yoga. It's nice to meet you. Now, we're gonna listen to Mario introducing himself in Spanish. Ahora vamos a escuchar a Mario presentarse a sí mismo, pero en español. Let's listen. Escuchemos. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Mario. Soy de La Habana, Cuba, pero ahora vivo en Miami, en Estados Unidos. Tengo 36 años y soy periodista. Me gusta viajar, escuchar música y salir con mis amigos. No me gusta jugar al tenis ni hacer yoga. Mucho gusto conocerte. If you notice here, as I was explaining in the previous slide, you will notice that he is not using the subject pronoun I, yo. So he just goes straight to the verb without using the subject pronoun. But it's okay, remember to use it, as I told you before. In our third conversation, we're gonna listen to Maria introducing herself. En nuestra tercera conversación, vamos a escuchar a María presentarse a sí misma. Let's listen to her. Escuchémosla. Hi, I'm Maria. I am 31 years old and I'm a lawyer. I'm from El Salvador, but I live in Panama. I like dancing, singing, and writing. I dislike people who are very angry. It's nice to meet you. The same conversation but in Spanish says, Hola, me llamo María, tengo 31 años y soy abogada. Soy del Salvador, pero ahora vivo en Panamá. Me gusta bailar, cantar y escribir. No me gusta la gente que es muy enojada. Encantada de conocerles. Okay, if you notice in Spanish, and also in the previous conversation, it's nice to meet you have different translation according to the number of people you are talking to. For instance, in the previous conversation, when the woman and the man say, it's nice to meet you, they say in Spanish, es un placer conocerte, meaning that they refers or that they are talking just to a single person. But in this case, regarding Maria, She said in Spanish, encantada de conocerles. Why? Because where she is, there are more than one person, maybe 2, 3, or 4. That's the reason she says in Spanish, encantada de conocerles. Conocerles is a word that indicates plural. Now we're gonna learn how to introduce someone else. Ahora vamos a aprender cómo presentar a alguien más. Let's start. Empecemos. Notice the way Alberto introduces his girlfriend. Noten la manera en cómo Alberto presenta a su novia. Let's listen. This is my girlfriend, and her name is Anna. She's from Japan, but lives in Peru. She is 45 years old and is a supermodel. She likes dancing, taking a rest, and meeting new people. She doesn't like neither cooking nor going shopping. Now, we're gonna listen to the translation of this conversation. Ahora vamos a escuchar a la traducción de esta conversación. Esta es mi novia y su nombre es Ana. Es de Japón, pero vive en Perú. Tiene 45 años y es una supermodelo. Le gusta bailar, recrearse y conocer otras personas. No le gusta cocinar ni ir de compras. We're gonna listen to the same conversation, in Spanish, but using the subject pronoun she. Because as I was telling you before, in the first translation, I didn't use she. I just used the verbs. But in this occasion, I would like you to see the subject pronoun next to the verbs. Okay? Let's listen to it. Esta es mi novia y se llama Ana. Ella es de Japón, pero vive en Perú. Ella tiene 45 años y es una supermodelo. A ella le gusta bailar, recrearse y conocer otras personas. A ella no le gusta cocinar ni ir de compras. In this dialogue, you will learn how to introduce someone else, especially a male person. Let's listen to Nelly introducing her friend Thomas. And she says, "This is my friend, and his name is Thomas. He's from France but lives in England. He's 57 years old and is a doctor. He likes to go to the cinema and eat a lot. He doesn't like neither talking a lot nor listening to loud music." Now we're gonna listen to the translation of this conversation but in Spanish. Remember what I've been explaining since the beginning regarding the omission of the subject pronoun, why it is omitted. So we have the two cases here. Lo que le he estado explicando desde el principio, el por qué se omite el pronombre en español. Let's listen to both examples, which is the same. Vamos a escuchar los dos ejemplos, los cuales son los mismos. Este es mi amigo y su nombre es Tomás. Es de Francia, pero vive en Inglaterra. Tiene 57 años y es doctor. Le gusta ir al cine y comer mucho. No le gusta hablar mucho ni escuchar música alta. Este es mi amigo y se llama Tomás. Él es de Francia, pero vive en Inglaterra. Él tiene 57 años y es doctor. A él le gusta ir al cine y comer mucho. A él no le gusta hablar mucho ni escuchar música alta. To finish this video, you will listen to a number of questions that you will hear in your daily speaking. Spanish speaking practice, questions and answers about introductions. And our first question is, what's your name? In English, we have two different ways to answer to this question. En inglés tenemos dos maneras para responder a esta pregunta. Number one, my name is Pedro Gonzalez, and number two, I'm Pedro Gonzalez. Nevertheless, in Spanish, we have two different questions to ask someone. For instance, the first one, ¿cómo te llamas? And the second one, ¿cómo usted se llama? Or, ¿cómo se llama usted? The first question, ¿cómo te llamas? Is an informal question. It means that you were asked this question to your friends, acquaintances, and sometimes you can ask to a relative the same question. Nevertheless, ¿cómo usted se llama? ¿Cómo se llama usted? It is more formal. It means that you're going to use it with people that you don't know well, informal situations, so informal settings. And there are three different ways, of course, to answer to these questions. Hay tres formas distintas para responder a esta pregunta. Number one, mi nombre es Pedro González. Number two, me llamo Pedro González. And number three, soy Pedro González. Remember again, before soy, we have the omitted subject pronoun I, which in some occasion it is not necessary to use it in Spanish. Why? Because the person understands when you say soy, what you refers to or to whom you refers to. Our second question in this list is, what's your last name? Nuestra segunda pregunta en esta lista es, ¿cuál es tu apellido? And the answer is, my last name is Gonzalez, or you can simply say, it's Gonzalez. Mi apellido es González, o simplemente decir es González. In Spanish, you know, depend the setting and the kind of person you are talking to, you can use either formal or informal. The first question that we have there, it's informal. ¿Cuál es tu apellido? And if you are talking to someone you don't know and you want to be respectful, you say, ¿cuál es su apellido? And the way to answer to these questions are, las maneras para contestar a esta pregunta son, mi apellido es González o simplemente es González. Question number 3 is a very interesting question because when we meet a person for the first time, we want to know where this person comes from. La pregunta número 3 es una pregunta muy interesante, ya que a nosotros, cuando conocemos a alguien por primera vez, nos gusta saber su procedencia. And the question that we got here is, where are you from? Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? Or, ¿de dónde es usted? And the person answers here, I'm from Spain. Yo soy de España. Now let's translate this question into Spanish. The first question, remember, it's informal. You know how to use it. And the second one, it's formal. Let's translate it. ¿De dónde eres? So notice the intonation. You know, when you ask a question in Spanish, it's important to pay attention to intonation. Es importante prestar atención a la entonación. ¿De dónde es usted? ¿De dónde es usted? And you have two ways to answer to this question or to these questions. Number one, yo soy de España. Yo soy de España. And the other answer is soy de España. Concerning question number 4, what's your nationality? I'm Spanish. If we translate this question into Spanish, would be, ¿cuál es tu nacionalidad? ¿Cuál es su nacionalidad? Again, what I've been explaining from the beginning, lo que he estado explicando desde el principio. The first question, ¿cuál es tu nacionalidad? It's informal. And the second question there, ¿cuál es su nacionalidad? Is formal. And we have the two ways to answer to this question. Yo soy español, or you can say soy español. Question number 5, pregunta número 5. Where do you live? I live in Santo Domingo. If we translate this question into Spanish, it will be, ¿dónde vives? Remember, between parentheses, to whom I refer? To. ¿Dónde tú vives? Or you can say, ¿dónde vives? Or, ¿dónde tú vives? And if you want to be more formal, you can ask in Spanish, ¿dónde vive usted? O ¿dónde usted vive? It doesn't matter the order. ¿Dónde usted vive? ¿Dónde vive usted? This is the way we ask question in Spanish. And the answer to this question is, la respuesta a esta pregunta es, yo vivo en Santo Domingo. Vivo en Santo Domingo. You know, I'm from the Dominican Republic, so Santo Domingo is the capital of the Dominican Republic. Question number 6. Pregunta número 6. How old are you? And the answer to this question is, I'm 30 years old. If we translate this, the question would be, ¿cuántos años tienes? Who? The person in this case between parentheses, tú. Remember, you can say, ¿cuántos años tienes? It's okay if you ask this question in this way. Or you can say, ¿cuántos años tienes tú? And if you want to be more formal or formal, you can ask, ¿cuántos años tiene usted? Or, ¿cuántos años usted tiene? Remember that intonation is very important in Spanish. So, listen to the way I pronounced it and you do the same. And the answer to these questions are, y las respuestas a estas preguntas son, yo tengo 30 años. Tengo 30 años. In question number 7, I want to know what you do to live. I want to know your profession, your occupation, your job. And the question is, what do you do? What do you do? I'm an engineer. I work as a farmer. The same question we can translate it in Spanish as the following. We have two ways. The same question but two different ways. Las dos preguntas, pero dos formas distintas. Number 1, which is informal. ¿A qué te dedicas? Who? Between parentheses, tú. But remember, it is omitted, so you can just say ¿a qué te dedicas? And that's it. Your question is great. Or you can ask a little bit more formal or formal. ¿A qué se dedica usted? Or you can simply say ¿a qué se dedica? Puede decir simplemente ¿A qué se dedica? There is another way to express the same question, what do you do? Hay otra manera de decir a qué se dedica. ¿Qué haces? Which is informal. And more formal, ¿qué hace? I want to know your occupation. Quiero saber su ocupación. And the answer to these two questions are: yo soy ingeniero, me dedico a la agricultura. Last question. I want to know about your hobbies, what you do, to have fun. La última pregunta. Quiero saber qué haces, tus hobbies, qué haces para divertirte. So the question is, what do you like to do? And the person here answers, I like to go to the cinema. I like going out with my friends and having a good time. I like traveling to other places. The same questions is in Spanish, ¿qué te gusta hacer? Or ¿qué le gusta hacer? Which is formal. And the answer to this question is, la respuesta a esta pregunta es: me gusta ir al cine, me encanta salir con mis amigos y pasarla bien, me gusta viajar a otros lugares, estudiar. In some occasions, you will hear native Spanish speaker saying just estudiar, comer, dormir without using, the subject pronoun. Algunas veces escucharán a los hablantes de español nativo decir estudiar, comer, dormir sin usar el pronombre delante de esos verbos en infinitivo. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe so we can reach even more people.